Good morning. How's everybody doing? I think we're in a space of absolute fabulousness, and it's great to be here. Can you all hear me? I'm just wave and let me see you exist.
Yes, we can
Just label the
certainly
screen
we
beautiful.
can
I
all
think we're
hear.
in a great, we're in a great, beautiful. It's great to see everybody. It's such a great collection of people, and everybody I see online so far has been a very, very important contributor to the community we live in. But we're here for the great book launch.
Um, right now, I'm gonna invite Mr. John Best.
Okay. Thank
Mr.
you,
John
Nana.
Best, I need to introduce you, was the former CEO of Milton Keynes Council and is currently the chair of Arts Gateway. He's basically a giant of arts in Milton Keynes and runs all kinds of programs. His energy is amazing in the amount of things that he does, and he's someone I really admire. So I'm looking forward to hearing your review and what you think or thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Nana, and hello, everybody. Nearly all of whom I know quite well. So this is a good group of people to be in, and I'm delighted to be invited to talk about Nana's book. So knowing something of Nana Oguntola, I know that she's one of the most impressive individuals around because of so much she fits into a busy life. Nana is a diligent, entrepreneurial, multi-talented creative who brings her redoubtable energy to all that she does. To have conceived, written, designed, and published this alongside everything else is impressive. I've been privileged to know Nana for several years, the last few of which I've known her as a filmmaker and influencer. And this, her latest project, shows her as a researcher and a writer, further strengthening her record as a storyteller. So the story here, as people will know, follows the journey of Christopher Balogun Lynch from his early childhood in Sierra Leone right through to his later years in Milton Keynes. And we need stories like this. MK needs stories like this. And Nana has known, followed, and researched the professor over 10 years. And I got a lot out of the book. I got a story of recognition of the professor in his profession, and partly influenced by Nana, recognition of the professor in our own community here. And this was very effectively captured in Nana's film project, Hidden Stories. I got a story about the professor's childhood in Sierra Leone, of the cultural shock of arriving in 1960s Britain, the challenges of navigating UK society with no money to your name. The story being what in the book is described as UK societal ideology, which I found a fascinating concept. And the story, much of whose details define the experience of London in the 1960s and 1970s. And I was there, and several of you around the screen, I'm sure, were in London in the 1960s and 70s. So all of these stories are laid out in The Professor and I. I enjoyed the medical thread. I enjoyed the social history thread. And I enjoyed the Milton Keynes thread. Many of these elements are particularly resonant now, at a time when the nation is reasserting the importance of the medical and caring professions, at a time when the world is reassessing the position and contribution of Black lives, and at a time when Milton Keynes, having just turned 50, is looking for untold stories in our comparatively short life. So Nana has done a great job in teasing out these elements at a moment they've never been more needed. So behind Nana's book, you get a clear feeling of the effort and affection involved in researching the subject, of the energy and persistence as the work evolves from autobiography to biography, and the human vulnerabilities exposed in the account of reactions from the professor's family and close friends. So, to sum up, thank you, Nana. You've done a great job with a story that deserved to be told. I'm done.
I believe I'm back.
Okay.
All right, technology is not my best friend, but that was quite deep, John. That was absolutely deep. Nana, you're a genius, but you know that already. It's quite a privilege to be part of a project like this.
The lives of people, journeys that inspire and teach us, stand as an example for all of us, young and old, as a guide to how to face and overcome adversity, and stand as a guide to how to show us our way to greater achievements. So I'd like to commend and congratulate Nana for being inspired to produce this wonderful story about Professor Lynch, and being inspired and taking the time and dedication to produce this wonderful book. Because this book and this journey is extremely timely. Because as we all know, Black Lives Matter. And as we all know, there are far too many wonderful, inspiring journeys, such as Professor Lynch's, which sadly, because we don't have inspirational people like Nana, have not been told, and these people's lives have not mattered. So it gives me great joy to congratulate Nana on producing this wonderful book on Professor Lynch, because as we all know, Black Lives Matter. Thank you, Nana.
Just quickly, sorry, Yao, just to say thank you very much, Val. Val is a executive producer for film and TV, and a very, very good friend of mine. He was one of those people who were in the British film Welcome to the Terrordom, and he now makes films from Cyprus and Hungary. So thank you for joining me.
That is awesome. I mean, there's an old saying that success has many fathers, and that failure is a bastard. It's quite interesting. At times, you need to know the father of success. And even though we lived in Milton Keynes for quite like forever, and we'd heard in the background the existence of a Professor Lynch, people had not been made aware categorically about what this man had achieved. And people like to say that the journey to us, or the journey to who we become, has no color. But in these times, we realize that it is quite important to let it be known that the positive contributions to humanity, or humanity, includes the like of people like us, for want of a better word. And so it's great to have this book written to give this information out there, so that when it is read and shared, people get to know how fabulous and fantastic we have. A call to the next person to speak is Donald Pugh Harden, who's the editor of the Sierra Leone newspaper, Salon Times, and chair and editor of us. So I'd like to pass on to you, please. Are you available, Donald?
Yes, I am available.
With us. This is your stage.
Good morning. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm Donald Theo Harding. I'm the editor of the Salon Times newspaper in Sierra Leone, and I'm the chairman of the Guild of Newspaper Editors Sierra Leone. I am a Sierra Leonean. I was born in Sierra Leone. I lived and grew up in Sierra Leone. And with this book, Professor Lynch's book, I could feel and touch background of, his rise to higher heights, especially in a country that is known for very bad and ugly reasons, rebel wars, diseases, abject poverty, as the case may be. Professor Lynch's story is giving hope that people could rise from the dust to higher heights to the extent of wining and dining with the Queen of England, which is maybe the dream of a lot of people in this part of the world. I've known Nana for quite a while. I worked with her in the Gambia during the rebel wars in Sierra Leone, where I settled in the Gambia. And we had a nice time together. I knew that she's a go-getter and she's a hard worker. She's done a tremendous work with this book. And she puts us in a situation in which, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
She puts us in a situation in which we put ourselves in the book and work with the professor from point to point, especially when you come from this part of the world. And we feel his pains. We rejoice with him in his winnings, and Nana has done a fantastic work with this book, and I will recommend that this book will not only stay where it is; it should find the shelves of not only academic libraries, but even medical libraries. Thank you.
That is excellent, sir. That is absolutely beautiful. I mean, what I like about this is that, you see, in what you said, sir, this is greatness despite, not greatness before. Some have been born with silver spoons planted firmly in their mouth, but some have had to find their path, and they have found it well. And I think this professor, this story has given us a journey of this professor finding his path and finding it well in life. And that is absolutely magnificent. It is said that even not for the shackles, we would be angels. This is a man who has long lost his shackles and flying amongst the greatest of angels. And for the story to be told really well, required a great writer and a filmmaker. And we're going to hand over to Nana herself, the author, to give us a bit of a reading and background of where we're coming from. But as we go in, and I need people to know that there's going to be signed copies of the books available, and I would like people to endeavor to own a signed copy for posterity and also for support of such a great venture. This woman is magnificent. The time she took and the joy in her face and the sacrifice she put to create this, I was absolutely astounded. I thought I was a writer till I saw her. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, I don't know how you do it virtually. I think if we unmute, that wouldn't look so great. But can you all do like a clap to introduce Nana, our author? Put your hands together, please. Right, Nana.
Thank you very much, Yao. You're too kind. Basically, I'm going to leave everybody to read the book for yourself to see where it started and how it's come to this conclusion that I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read just the epilogue, which is the conclusion of the book. Professor Lynch's life, obviously, is one that I knew from the moment I met him that I wanted to tell his story. And I have tried my best, I think, to do that. And however, when we came to the end of the book, we did have family issues with the book. So I'm going to just read the last part of the book and take into consideration that almost everything in the book was narrated to me by Professor Lynch. So it's really from the horse's mouth, most of it, and then my interpretation. So this is the epilogue. It's called The Professor and I, the last 2 pages I'm going to read. It says, and I say, spending this past 15 months with Professor Lynch has taught me a lot of things. First, he had entitled his original autobiography, Work Conquers All. But I question that statement. Here is a man who worked hard, who committed his life to the service of others. And for what? A small flat in Milton Keynes and no recognition from the people, hospital, and country for whom he worked so hard. One of the chief executives of Milton Keynes Hospital described him as one of the rocks on which the hospital has been built. Marcus Secho, who was the Queen's gynecologist for over 25 years, described him as a giant. He added, Chris Lynch has made an absolutely outstanding, internationally important contribution, not just from his B. Lynch stage, but from focusing the world onto the problem of postpartum hemorrhage. One of the things the professor told me was that he was disappointed the UK had not recognized his work. This great man now sits all day in front of the TV, barely able to help himself, with little to show for all he was and for all that he had given and did and done. How then does work conquer all? Secondly, for Professor, family is everything. But how does one create a family that becomes everything? His children spent almost no time with him. I really actually don't want to read all of these bits. His ex-wife and her mothers, both of him who spoke so highly of, never even once stepped foot in the hospital when he had a stroke. He was always afraid to ask his own children to accompany him to special functions. They would not visit exhibitions about him or pick up an award for him or do anything that celebrated him. I saw Isabel hug her father a couple of times. None of the others did. Emily shook his hand like a stranger when she came to visit him at the hospital. What is it that makes a family so estranged, that distances children so far from their father, not just in the flesh, but equally so in spirit? Thirdly, it showed me that kindness is something that one cannot take to the bank. It will not pay your rent or feed your children. I gave myself to the professor. I emptied his bins, I bought him food, fed him, wiped his mouth, got him featured on TV, made films about him, nominated him for awards, worked on keeping his legacy alive through exhibitions and websites for students, and none of it mattered in the end. I look back on our journey over the past 15 months, filled with the same surprise he probably felt when his mentor did not support his appointment as senior registrar. He trusted me more than his own children, as he gave me his bank PIN number and hid it from them. His daughter Emily had to ask me after he went home from hospital for his PIN, which I gave her. He would tell anyone he spoke with during the time we worked together that I was a wonderful person, but he was now calling me someone who had stolen his book. His loyalty to his children and his need for their acceptance is as great a need as his need for their mother. But since the unity against me provides them with an opportunity to work together and heal bridges, I do not begrudge him. My kindness was the offering on the altar of their reconciliation. In any case, I think this unofficial biography is better than the original autobiography, because the latter had no conflict and no mess. Everyone was good, everything was perfect. But actually, life is not like that. And my version shares the good, the glory, and the mess that makes us human. Despite everything, I hope he does get to receive recognition for his work from the hospital, the city of Milton Keynes in the United Kingdom. Hopefully his children will take up this mission and fight for their father, because I believe it is still worth doing. People are complicated. The reasons for the actions we take are the subjects of many disciplines and much study. Through these projects, I have come to understand that greatness is not the absence of weakness or flaws, and I accept that. And to you, the reader, I am sorry I'm unable to give you a happy ending, a story of victory and success all through to the end. But this is reality, and most times it is not pretty. I cannot change what it is, even if I wanted to. Do not forget, however, that with hard work, anything is possible. But remember to take the people you call family with you as you pursue success. Thank you for reading The Professor and I. Thank you. That's my reading.
Well, that is deep. That is absolutely deep. It's quite interesting that I don't know how much the man has been on it. I first met him properly. I'd heard a lot about him because my wife is a midwife. But then I met him at the business end when my twins were being born. And they said, don't worry, the professor is on site or it's on the hospital. So everything would be okay. And everything was okay. The kids are 20 now. He walked in like a giant, did what he's best at doing. And my children are here. I hope the community has time to create a kind of a monument for what has been created. We have a monument somewhere in Milton Keynes for somebody who has jumped very far in sports. We have monuments for other things which we've painted gold, whatever, post boxes and such like for people who run fast, jumped high, done certain things. This is a man whose creation has saved lives all over the world. And if he's left in a small flat somewhere in Milton Keynes, it's heartbreaking. In other places, he'll be lauded everywhere he goes. I had the privilege of having to speak after him at an event. That was the scariest thing on the planet. You getting to speak after a man who has saved lives, and I have only saved words. You know, it's absolutely phenomenal. When they say, okay, you're speaking of the professor, and it's a credit, and he's a credit to all of humanity. And I believe that you're making time to write the raw book, the imperfect book, not the Hollywood version. I hate Hollywood versions. No disrespect to Hollywood. If you call me, I'll write for you. But the world's problems are not solved in 2 hours of perfection. Problems continue, lives continue, but greatness still thrives. And here we have a book in front of us that gives an opportunity to get into the soul of the man. And also, I think we get to know the writer and how deep she delves into the topic that is to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you've all been excellent. And I think you all deserve applause for yourself. I like Andrew Geary. And so, Chancellor, Andrew, are you here?
I am indeed.
Okay, this is your journey. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I really don't know where to begin after all that I've heard, but I'm going to stick to kind of what I'd already planned and prepared, which may not entirely be what Nana was expecting, because I think what Nana is blissfully unaware of is that I've also actually known Dr. Lynch for, I suspect, almost 30 years. And he was responsible for the safe delivery of my daughter 15 years ago yesterday. I'll come to more of that in a few moments. If I may, can I just begin by speaking just for a moment about the book before I share, if I may, some very personal memories, of a couple of personal memories of Dr. Christopher Lynch, somebody who I have been on first name terms with for those last 15 years and beyond, and whose story is one of success tinged with sadness, as Nana has already outlined. So, Nana, firstly, I have to confess that despite you sending me a personal signed copy of the book over a week ago, for which I am deeply grateful, I haven't read all of it. And I'll tell you for why. Because I've not been able to prise it out of the hands of my wife, who got hold of it when it was delivered to home and has read it cover to cover and is fascinated by it. I did keep telling her, I really need to read this before Friday morning. And yes, I'll be finished soon was kind of what I got. And I'm a slow reader. She's a fast reader. But what I have read is a fascinating insight and parts of a man's life that I knew nothing about. And so, like so many others have this morning, I commend you for the work you've done on it and for bringing out a story, warts and all, not trying to hide the difficult bits, but bringing something out that, yes, talks of success, but success tinged with sadness as well. Something perhaps to try and lift spirits a little bit and something entertaining. What some of you may not be aware of, you will read in the book that Dr. Lynch is the son of a clergyman. Dr. Lynch is also the brother of a clergyman. I'm not sure whether he still is, but I know that just over 20 years ago, Dr. Lynch's brother was Archbishop of Sierra Leone. He came with his family to Britain for an Archbishop's conference, and as the then rector of the Lamp Group of Churches, Simon Whedon, and I were preparing for Harvest Festival Evensong in Little Linford Church, next door to where Christopher lived and had his private surgery. And if any of you know Little Linford Church, it is not very big. It is just almost like a church in the middle of a field. As we were preparing, Simon to take the service and myself to play the organ, in walked Christopher, along with his visiting family. who he promptly introduced as the Archbishop of Sierra Leone. I don't think I've ever seen a clergyman at 10 to 6, as the service started at 6 o'clock, take such a backward step and came out with the words, "You're most welcome, and if I'd known you were coming, I would have invited you to preach." That was invitation enough. There needed to be no further invitation. And I have to say that Dr. Lynch's brother that evening gave one of the most compelling and heart-rending sermons I'd ever heard, or I have still to hear. It was absolutely striking. I can't even remember now what particularly the subject was of that Archbishop's conference. But believe me, the sermon briefly told us that it was good that we celebrated to give thanks for our harvest, because in Sierra Leone, often they wondered where their next meal was coming from. It was an entertaining evening, a very entertaining evening, but with a very serious message, and one that I'll never forget. One that I will always be grateful to Christopher for organising, even if he probably didn't intend it to happen in the way that it did. That probably, if you know the man, is something that all of us will resonate towards. And secondly, very personally, I just wanted to talk about Christopher's involvement in the delivery of my own 2 children. You see, when my son Josh was born, he was an emergency cesarean. And if things hadn't happened as they did, within literally minutes, we may not have had him. I now have a strapping 16-year-old who's an apprentice with me on the farm at home and is currently looking after things while I have the privilege of being Mayor of Milton Keynes. But when Josh was born, all the focus was on him, because he was not premature. He was on time, weighing 4 pounds 8, with a cord wrapped twice around his neck and struggling to come outside of his mother. An emergency cesarean was performed. And safe to say, without going into any gory details, the attention was on Josh and not on his mum. As I say, Josh is now thriving. When Lisa became pregnant with our second child, we decided that given Josh had been an emergency cesarean, we needed to seek a bit more professional medical advice as to how the birth, etc., might happen. And because Christopher was still doing some work for the NHS in Milton Keynes at the time, we were fortunate to be placed under his care. We were very blessed to be placed under his care, because not only did we have the safe delivery of our daughter Rebecca 15 years ago yesterday, but we also had Lisa repaired, and I'll leave it at that, from kind of what was wrong with that first delivery of Josh. Quite rightly, the effort was on my son. This time, the efforts were on my daughter and my wife as well. And for that, I and we will always be truly grateful. It's why it is such a special honour for me to be here this morning. This is not a book launched by somebody that I know nothing about, but somebody who has had a deep and profound impact on the life of myself and my family as well. Nana, my gratitude for you for taking the time and the effort to write such an inspiring insight. My overwhelming gratitude to the subject of this book, for whom, as long as I am a part of this earthly life, I and my family will be eternally grateful.
Oh, wow. In this small gathering, we've already identified 5 lives that this man has impacted. Isn't that amazing? Your Mayor is your wife and your 2 children, my wife and my second twin. That's 5 people who've been impacted in 6 people impacted in this small gathering. Can you imagine the impact of this man's life on the whole of humanity? And he lives in Milton Keynes. That, I think, is quite exciting. I would like to encourage everybody, and everybody who knows somebody, to spread the story and the availability of this book. I really will strongly recommend that you get a signed copy if you can, so that you can look back to it in time and see what you were part of. I'd like to pass over back to Nana, and also if anybody else has anything to contribute to this meeting, it would be great to hear from you. Nana, I'd like to pass back to you, please. You ready?
Yes,
Nana?
all I'd like to say is thank you to everybody who's here today. thank you for those who've spoken. Everybody's words has been amazing, timely, worth listening to. I just wanted to say, if anybody has anything they wanted to add to this meeting, maybe 2 minutes.
Right. I am Joe Oshisami. I am a partner at Silver Bay, firm of chartered accountants. I've known Nana now for about 7 years, 10 years maybe. Just to say congratulations for your achievement in writing the book. I haven't read it yet, but I sort of look forward to reading the book and giving you a feedback of what I feel about it. Now, as I said to you before, books like this should be brought to the attention of a lot more people than are going to read it in the form of perhaps getting a film or television program put together, which will be broadcast to a lot more people than are going to read the book. So my doors are open, and we can still have a chat and discuss how to take things forward. Congratulations, are well done.
That is
Thank
fabulous.
you, Joe. For those who don't know Joe, he's a partner at Silver Living. They're one of the largest finance firms in the UK, and they do financing for films. They're one of the biggest film financing companies as well. And I've known him for quite a while.
Well done.
That is absolutely amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Anybody else would like to contribute, please do. We got one more minute, I suppose.
Maybe just a quick word, if I may. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor.
Yes, indeed. I happen to have known both Christopher Lynch as well as Nana. Christopher Lynch a lot more. I've known him for 49 years, believe it or not. And he has been an inspiration from the time I happened to have gone to the same medical school with him. It was last year when I was first here. And as somebody said, some people are born great, others achieve greatness, but some have greatness thrust upon their arms. Well, Chris Lynch has achieved greatness, as Nana has so beautifully exposed in that book. It is unfortunate. That epilogue Nana read really brought tears to my eyes, because I know how much Nana cared. From all the little I've known of her in this last 2.5 years or so, how much she has made effort, not just writing and creating facts, reiterating facts, which has happened in Christopher's life. I happen to have worked for some of the people in that book myself. I did my housemanship as for Sir John Castry before he became knighted, before he became alderman and then mayor of the city of London. So a lot of the people in that book, if 85% of them, I happen to have known personally, because I went to the same medical school. And I know that everything that Nana has said in that book is factual, not made up, it's factual. It is doubly unfortunate that personal side do come in and the book, an attempt to engineer the book rather than edit it, was made. But nonetheless, I congratulate Nana for an excellent work of art in writing that book and in underlying the facts. And I really admire you guys in Milton Keynes for all the hard work you have done, because I visited Milton Keynes in one of the films Nana made, and I was impressed by the love you show as a council and the genuine effort you make. Long before we start talking about Black Lives Matter, all you guys are doing in Milton Keynes is a great example to other boroughs in London. Because I don't know, I came to this country in 1971, to be exact, just like Christopher Lynch, to do my A-levels and then happened to go to the same medical school. And I don't know of any other council in the UK that has made such genuine efforts to try and set things right. So I congratulate you, the whole people of Milton Keynes, for everything you're doing. And lastly, I congratulate Nana for writing that book. And although from the epilogue she read to us, things soured a little bit, but I will end up by quoting Julian of Norwich, one of the great writers, when she said in Revelations of Divine Love, that all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Thank you.
That is great, sir. Nana, it is well. That is a perfect ending.
Thank you so much.
I think you've done a phenomenal job. I think
Thank you so much, Dr. Titus, for that statement. Thank you so much, Dr. Titus, for that statement as well, because you've had a front row seat to the whole project. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a quick one. I'm Ofanel Goodin. Hello all. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, just a quick one. I'm Ofanel Goodin, a journalist in Sierra Leone, and Nana actually have made Sierra Leone proud by publishing this book, because we need to recognize people like Professor. I mean, they've done a lot for humanity, and I mean, I really doff my hat to Nana for such a venture. Thank you very much, Nana.
Beautifully received. Nana, can I just say one thing?
Sorry, can I just say thank you to Ophaniel for saying that. Ophaniel, it's nice to see you again. Ophaniel worked with me in the Gambia a long time ago when he was a young teenager. He was my PA actually, and he's gone back to Sierra Leone and he's running his own media outfit. I'm also very proud of him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Well, hello everyone. Just in case. Hi, yeah. I've said it to just in case anyone doesn't know me, I'm actually Nana's husband, Segan. And I've had quite an interesting journey with Nana in seeing this book develop and come to fruition. And it's one which, obviously, being a husband, has been an intimate journey. And I think the word really that comes to my mind throughout all of this, throughout the Professor's amazing achievements, some who I'm incredibly in awe of, and obviously Nana's journey in putting this book together, is sacrifice. I think there's been a tremendous amount of sacrifice that Nana has put together or gone through this book together, and I'm so proud of her. And I did say that to her this morning. And I think you know, the various sacrifices that were made at the altar of hard work in putting this book together. When I see the reaction, when I read the finished product, when I understand the story of Professor Lynch, even though those sacrifices were extremely difficult at the time, I'm confident that those sacrifices were worth it, because the story, and anyone that knows me, I'm all about stories. The story is well worth bringing to attention. The struggle, the pain, the triumphs, the achievements. If those sacrifices were not made, then this book would not exist. So I just want to commend Nana for making those sacrifices, for pushing forward, for having a fearsome or a fearless approach to putting this project together. And I just want to say thank you for all your efforts and being prepared to make those sacrifices. Well done. I'm proud of you.
That's from home. That is really powerful, brother. Well done. Are we sorry, are we approaching the end of this, or is there anybody else who would like to contribute before we kill Abu Jalo? Is it you? The stage is yours.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, do some stuff. I've only started reading the book, and when I tried to purchase it, at that time, I think I could only get the Kindle version. I can't remember the exact reasons why, but I got it, and I only recently started reading it, and I have to say, I'm totally hooked. I'm looking forward to actually getting off and going back to the book so I can actually get more insight to what the professor did. And I'm not just saying that because Nana is a family friend and all that stuff. It's like, it's been a long time since I've been engaged by a book where I'm actually reading and I just want to know. I think I'm at a moment where the professor's just left Sierra Leone and he's now entered he's just come to UK. He's just gone to Oxford and he's just taken on a job as a porter in a thing. And he's being asked this question. It's like, why are you an Oxford student working in a restaurant? But he said, again, going back to that sacrifice thing, it's, I don't have any money, so therefore I'm going to have to work. So I'm so excited to actually read, and from a person's insight, I never knew what my parents faced living in UK in the 70s or the 60s. So this will actually probably answer a lot of questions about how tough you had to be to survive in the UK at that time. So, you know, what's also really refreshing as well is that there were so many positive things that I've already started seeing from people helping out, from all of these scholarships, the reverends and stuff like that. But again, it's just, I'm so proud of Nana, because I know her, first of all, you know, she was the big sister that you didn't want to mess with. You didn't want to mess with it. If you want to fight, like physical fight, she would beat the hell out of you. You know, so I think she was always special, even from a young girl. We didn't really know what it was, but we knew that she was different from the rest. Really. So all I'm saying is that I'm so proud of you, and not just because I know you from a young person. I'm starting to catch up to stuff that you've been doing, and like you say, it's not just because of the Black Lives Matter that means that you've been speaking up for Black people. I think it's just who you are. I think it's just really who you are. So I'm so glad that I can share. You know, sorry, I'm stage fright is kicking in, but so proud that you know you've come up with a whole book, and you know, just listening from dictatorship, you know, that's so much dedication, and it just shows what is needed to be done to achieve, you know, the greatness that most people aspire for. So I'm like super proud. And to the professor, I can't wait to finish this book so that I can actually understand what your journey was and how it was to walk in your shoes.
Beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you, Abu. Abu, as he said, is my younger brother. I used to beat him up. He used to be very naughty. When we did something wrong, he would tell his mom, so I'd have to beat him. But obviously now he's a big man. I can't do none of that. But thank you.
Hello, everybody. I think all good things come to an end, and we're probably approaching the end of this meet. But Nana, I'm adding you to the list of people I'm not gonna mess with. If that big, powerful young man is terrified of you, then I'm going to like be extra nice to you whenever I see you. Michael, were you about to speak?
Yes.
Or
Yes,
cool.
Phil.
Stage
I
is
just
yours.
wanted to say Nana. I've known Nana for a while now in the community of Milton Keynes. Is anyone else talking? Yeah, so Nana, really, I just wanted to congratulate you for this very inspiring book, coming at a time when everyone is singing about Black Lives Matter. I've taken a time to have a good chat with Professor Lynch, his journey. I know Professor Lynch and I know Nana, working with young people. This book is such an inspiring book. We've been just finished running a project on the untold stories of Africa. And one of the challenges that we found was that much of the stories and the good stuff that Black people have done, most of them have not been documented. And for Nana to take time and document, write a story about Professor Lynch and write a story about the challenges that you faced in completing this book is very inspiring. It's not just inspiring to the adults, but to young generation. That things are never straightforward, but the word sacrifice, history shall be told. You've done your history, and we'll go through back in the books, and those who come after you, and read about that book, the challenges that you went through, but the resilience, that you had to demonstrate. So to young people, I think this is very inspiring. We've got so many young people, most especially Black young people, who are struggling with the word identity because they don't find anyone to inspire them, nothing written. So this book, I think, is such an inspiring book, and I hope it's going to be in most libraries here so that young people can access them and read about Professor Lynch and read about the challenges that Nana went through. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Mike. Much appreciated.
Well said, Michael. Not just for libraries, but for schools, and not for the students, but for the educators, because your children who will guide them through like their own. So that is quite exciting. Well done, little sister. You're amazing. You put something out there that is worth the journey to us all.
Well done, Nana.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sig. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Naya. Thank you so much.
Well done, Nana, and congratulations.
Thank you. Who's that?
Eliza.
Oh, Eliza. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I don't need seconds. I know you can. I can see you, but I didn't hear your voice at all.
Oh.
Who's talking?
William. I'm enjoying.
Adonis, where you day? There you are.
I'm enjoying the contributions, Nana. All what I think they've said it all. You went. It was a long journey, but it was worthwhile. And as we say, the prophet is never honored in his hometown, and that applies very much to Professor Lynch. He is honored outside his home by far, and he always had a dream of giving back to his country. Always he told me, Adonis, I want to go and help. What can I do? And we spoke about it in detail, really, about it. But unfortunately, health didn't help him much to continue. So I think he's safer here. You've done well. Biographies are not rosy. The true biographies cannot be rosy. A true biography is a life. Our life it's ups and downs. It's sunshine and rain and storm. And if you want to be loyal to your readers, you have to go for that. And you've done that, Nana. Well done. Congratulations. And I'm fully supporting you for exposing my brother's fantastic deeds in England. He did a great job. And look at that. We had a Gambian to come and honor him. Well done.
Thank you very much, Adonis. And this Adonis is someone I admire. He's a philanthropist. I mean, he takes children from Sierra Leone with heart diseases who can't afford treatment, who would die, and he flies them to countries around the world to get treatment. That's the man Adonis is. He's helped thousands of young Sierra Leoneans to get education. He builds bridges in villages that get flooded. I mean, this man is amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Adonis. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nana. Thanks.
I think we will come to the end of this narrative, and thank you all for putting your oar in and sharing. You know something, Milton Keynes is truly a land of second chances. So like the other doctor said, because of situations like more giving and more understanding are taken for their mind, the content of their mind, not their pigmentation. We all know what we've brought to the table, and it is a magnificent table, and we are great contributors. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to applaud one of our great contributors, the fabulous, amazing, quite stylish too, Nana Oguntola. Put your hands together, people. Thank you, and goodbye.